Shalom and welcome to another teaching with the Hebrew Sisters. We are having so much fun sharing with you the Hebrew language. This month we'll be sharing with you some really important, beautiful, fun words. But the meanings in these words, I think when you understand them and you hear what we have to say about them, will bring a deeper meaning to some of our English words.
Right.
Today, we are sharing with you the word simcha. It's got a little guttural there, so you get to kind of clear your throat. Simcha. And listen, if you're enjoying these teachings, please give us a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. But also, if you're enjoying these Hebrew words, we have an absolutely free teaching that we've had incredible feedback on. They're the 7 secret Hebrew words for manifesting. And trust me, they work. That's a free teaching. You can see it right below in our tags there, and we would love for you to enjoy that. It's absolutely free. We have other YouTube teachings on meditation, relationships, conflict, how to deal with loneliness and fear, how to manifest and create the life that you desire. And so we have a lot available for you. We also have a school.
Oh, absolutely.
Hebrew Scrolls Academy. We'd love to have you take a look at our program, see if it's something you're interested in. But today, Darla, we're going to talk about a word, simcha, that means joy. When we say in the Hebrew language, we're going to have a simcha today, everybody's excited. That means a big celebration. It means lots of good food, lots of talking and sharing and sitting around and enjoying one another's company, wonderful drinks, and long hours of just being with the people that we love, celebrating together. Simcha, a joyous celebration.
I think that all of us could use a little joy in our
Absolutely.
life. You know, we've had such difficult seasons in the world, and a lot of times it's hard to get focused on the joy or even get together with your loved ones. That's been one of the most difficult things. And so it's as if when you get with your loved ones, finally, you know, you're throwing your head back, your arms are up, and you're just filled with joy. But what does joy really mean? Okay, it's a feeling that we get on the inside, and it comes into our heart. And when you begin to break the word down into its Hebrew form, again, I think you're right, Yana, English doesn't do the Hebrew words justice. So if we look at the word, just the definition of joy in the Hebrew, it means joy, gladness, or a spontaneous eruption of excitement. In other words, things are going along and then all of a sudden someone just begins to just express joy in a way, you know, they're laughing or they're screaming, or all of a sudden someone walks in that hasn't been there for a while and they just throw their head back and they're overcome.
Is it like winning the lottery?
There you go.
That kind of, that's joy, isn't it?
But if we take it even another layer down from just the Hebrew letters into the Paleo Hebrew. Now, the Paleo Hebrew was around during the time of Moshe. And so today we have modern Hebrew. In the time of Nebuchadnezzar or the book of Daniel, it was Babylonian Hebrew. But prior to that, it was Paleo Hebrew, and that is similar to hieroglyphics, the Egyptian hieroglyphics, the pictures. And so you get a concept rather than it spelling out words. And when you look at the letters and break it down into the concept, this is what joy means in Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew. It means destroy the wall of chaos to reveal his breath.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I love Paleo Hebrew.
I love it.
It opens up a whole new window. It opens up new dimensions for you and I to go to a deeper level. And that's what so many of us are. We're hungry for that. We're hungry for more. I know you're hungry for a deeper level.
So if you think of just the definition, spontaneous expression of excitement. Spontaneous means that things are just going along, and then all of a sudden, you know, in the word when it says suddenly, something begins to happen. That's spontaneous. And so the scripture that I want to use is out of the book of Nehemiah, and it's one that we use in part when we say the joy of the Lord is my strength.
Oh, yes.
But let's put that scripture in context, because we use that a lot of times, but let's understand what was happening prior to that. Now, it's the time of Nehemiah, and that would have been the time that Israel would have been in Babylonian captivity. So for 70 years, they've been under the harsh rule of Nebuchadnezzar, King Nebuchadnezzar. They've been taken out of Jerusalem, shifted into a different culture, into a different environment. Remember when they tried to make Daniel and the 3 Hebrew children, or the men in the king's court, eat the food that the Babylonians were eating, and the Hebrews said, we'll pass on that, and you just watch. After 10 days, our bodies will be in better shape than yours. And so, of course, that all came true. So it's in that period of time. And Israel has been in captivity for 70 years. Now, if you understand what that means for an Israeli or a Hebrew or a Jewish person, that means they didn't have Torah for 70 years. They weren't able to celebrate the feasts of the Lord for 70 years.
They couldn't be themselves.
Come on.
They had to conform to a whole different foreign culture that didn't have anything in common with, and so it was really difficult to be something that you're not.
And so thus the Paleo Hebrew destroy the wall of chaos. You see, Israel had been put into a very chaotic situation. When you and I get out of our routines, out of our normal daily life circumstances, sometimes that just causes us to go into a place of chaos or into a place of the unknown, and we don't know how to manage or what to do. And so we recognize that it's an unusual situation, and that's where Israel was at. And now the 70 years of judgment is over for them, and they're being released to go back to Jerusalem, back to their life, back to their places, and yet Jerusalem has been destroyed. There's chaos there. There's a temple that is in destruction. The walls are fallen down, and they need to rebuild them. And yet, when we find ourselves in this place, which is where Israel was, they went in and they began to rebuild the walls, reestablish life, and then the feasts of the Lord were set in place. And that's where this scripture comes in, that finally, after 70 years of not having, 70 years of not being able to, they finally can celebrate the feast, and they are so overcome with joy, with excitement, that they're weeping, they're laughing, they're just going on about it's finally here. The spontaneous eruption and expression of joy is given. Why? Because the scroll of the Torah is opened, and Ezra stands up, and for the first time in 70 years, they begin to hear the word of the Lord to them.
In Hebrew.
In Hebrew.
Well, joy is important. Joy feels good. And at this time in our lives, don't you think it's time for joy? And as we close today, our blessing to you is that the simcha, the joy of the Lord, will be your strength. It'll strengthen you on the inside. That you will have this week, or whenever you're listening to this, a suddenly moment of joy out of nowhere that will revive you, strengthen you, pick you up, and remind you of the greatness of who you are. All right. If you've enjoyed this teaching, make sure you give us a thumbs up and subscribe and see the other offerings that we have for you. But for now, we bless you with the joy of the Lord, and we say to you, we are the Hebrew Sisters.